A very warm welcome to This World Game Changers podcast, where your host, Paul D. Lowe, embraces many crucial conversations that compassionately contribute towards creating a better life and world. Paul's intention is very simple: to help get people's inspirational insights and motivational messages out into the world so others may benefit.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this World Game Changers podcast episode. My name is Rebecca Wheele. I'm one of the directors, and I am very honoured to be joined by Paul Lowe today. So Paul, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I was hoping you was going to call me Mom, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, if you want to be called Mom, you can be called Mom. It's no problem.
I say that, listeners, because as you'll know, oftentimes, particularly with the female guests, and more particularly Rebecca, I don't know why, but I use that term Mom. And I've actually, I'm going to share with you, been told off quite a few times because apparently it's got a connotation of women of a more senior age. I don't know. I mean, what's in a word? Do words have energy? Because I think it's fair to say, Rebecca, is it not, that we're going to be talking about energy within this this dance, this yes. musical dance, this wondrous extravaganza.
I wonder what the male equivalent to Mom is. Perhaps it's Sir.
Cool, that really does sound formal.
But yes, as you alluded to there, Paul, we are going to be talking about energy, and we've come up with a title. So we want to explore this and see where it goes, really. So the title is, What If Einstein Made Music? So anything coming up for you initially?
Yeah, it's making me laugh. That's what's coming up for me. And do you know what, listeners? I mean, what a zany title. What if Einstein made music? Maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe he was from my awareness, he wasn't renowned for his musical prowess. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. But I think most people, at the risk of using a general statement, would say, well, the man was, was noted for his science and. The laws of relativity and that kind of... Oh, no, sorry, that was Newton, wasn't it? So I'll get my scientists mixed up. Shows the more bias these days towards art and creativity rather than scientific stuff. But yeah, I think it's a fascinating title, and one that, is going to hopefully raise the vibration, raise the frequency, raise the energy. Let's have some fun with this, listeners. Let's kiss the sun. Let's be vulnerable. Let's touch the moon. Let's shake off those lonely bow tags that Peter Sarsgaard sang about in 1969 with his one-hit wonder. What's in words? Words have energy. Put a tune to it. That tonality that we talk about in communication. How important is tonality in our words? So we're led to believe that there's been research to say that the words we use are around the 7% mark in terms of their effectiveness for communication. 38% is tonality, and the other 55% is physiology. How are we expressing ourselves when we communicate? Now, on this podcast, obviously you can hear, but you can't see. So am I personally, as I'm speaking to you now, gesticulating with my hands? No, I'm not. I'm actually got my arms folded. That doesn't feel right, because I feel personally that my energy is high. And I want to convey that high energy. And that brings in something else, Rebecca, doesn't it? Well, certainly in my world, I'm going to own this statement rather than ask a question. My highest form of energy is love. And I think when we can put energy out into the world around love, is there really any better way of living? Not in my book, there isn't. But hey, listeners, you be the judge. Rebecca, before we dive in and we do a duet, before I answer your questions, any thoughts on that mixed bag?
Yeah, lots of thoughts. I don't know where to start, really. yeah, I feel that the music is a container almost for those expressions to be shared, those emotions to be shared. And it's similar with art, and it's similar with, making a painting, or whether it's doing a dance, or whether it's, they're all creativity that are trying to capture something. But yes, so I think that there's lots there. So if Einstein made music, so it's interesting that Einstein, as you said, is renowned mostly for the kind of scientific nature of what he did, and also that he was a genius. He was a genius. And when I think of Einstein, I mean, I don't know much about Einstein, I'll be completely honest, but when I hear the name Einstein, for me, I see a light bulb. I think that's probably a cliche, but I see that light bulb moment of that, eureka. And so I guess that brings into question for me, what would that look like in musical form? Would it, can we translate these different energies and these different expressions into different art forms?
Wow, unpack that lot. That's a very deep one. It's a very diverse one. I think what we can say with some, this is certainly from my own perception, the commonality here is energy. Because, obviously what Einstein research spoke about consistently was energy in all its various forms. And the parallel is music is a form of energy, a very powerful one in my thoughts, in my world. Some people will have more, maybe different views on the most powerful form of energy. For the most powerful form of energy, I think is love. I feel is love. In my world it is. But music is an expression of love. Even when you're kind of, I don't know, jokingly singing to somebody, what you're really saying is, I feel so vulnerable and open to be able to share this with you. I trust you deeply. Actually, I love you.
Mm.
And I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's my model of the world and my expression of love. And, I'll be in a bank in a queue and I'll just burst out singing and people will look at me as if to think, this guy's lost the plot.
Mm.
And then actually you might get the odd one or two and they'll look across. I've had this many, many times, listeners, where they'll look across and sort of, you can tell by the way their eyes are dancing that they're enjoying it and they just appreciate that. And I'm going to throw in a word that seems to be very much in my consciousness just lately, zaniness, as if to say, that's beautiful. And I wish I could do that. And I've actually had it a couple of times where people have. And this has been in a bank once and in a supermarket the second time.
Yeah.
And then interestingly, the kind of greater crowd, and we're not talking 10,000 people at the O2 Arena here, we're probably talking a small handful. But because it's been approved by somebody else, they kind of join in as well in their own way, this ripple effect. It's almost like we're seeking permission to actually enjoy ourselves.
Absolutely. That's the word that came to my mind, is that permission slip. And I think that's what great leaders do. They take that first step, and inspiring people to, because I wonder what the world would look like if, everyone was in a space in their life where they didn't have those boundaries and those constrictions of, I don't, the going in with the kind of being small and the kind of, I don't want to sing or whatever that was. I wonder what the world would look like if everyone was, expressing and not afraid to just be, and just, that word, that zany word that you brought into the mix. Because I think it's so true that, people do look at that. And so for example, say you're singing in the bank queue and and there'll be all sorts of different people with different opinions, and it will trigger people in different ways to where they're at. And there is this element to it that people wish that they could be free in that way, because it's a freedom, isn't it, that you're expressing is just a freedom and just exuding of just the moment and just love and just life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love what you said there, Rebecca, about this this kind of invitation. These are my words, I'm paraphrasing here, I'm certainly not twisting it, but this kind of fear of joining in on a duet. And you know where this is going, don't you?
I have an idea, yeah.
Maybe I'm getting so predictable. What it is, listeners, Rebecca and I have got this ongoing thing about doing a duet. No, actually, let me rephrase that. Paul's got an ongoing thing. Rebecca's kind of, no, we will do a duet, but I'll be playing the instrument, I being she, and I being me. But anyway, I digress. A little bit of a rabbit hole there. So what if Einstein made music? I think for me, what we have here is this, you look at the science of the world. It's very kind of, dare I say, matter of fact. It has a certain perception. I look back to my own journey of when I was involved in a more scientific approach to life. I needed facts. I needed proof. And that was down to my own vulnerability and massive insecurity that I'd carried from childhood experiences. As the years have gone by, I embrace a far more, I'm just in the moment. And if I feel like dancing, I'm just going to dance. And if I want to sing, I'm going to sing. I don't need that proof. I've almost gone from that see it to believe it. And now I believe it before I actually see it. I create it in my own, and that speaks to, I think, Rebecca, what we said about on the previous podcast around raising intentions, and then that frequency level will get up to that level.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I found music massively, particularly love songs, particularly ballads, inverted commas, more serious songs.
So when you hear, for example, your favorite love song or ballad, or one of the ones that really reaches you, what does that do for you?
It just stirs me, and I'll give you examples. So one of my all-time favorite top 3 is Foreigners, when they sing "I Want to Know What Love Is."
Oh yeah.
I mean, that is just, it's kind of, I think it's classed as a rock ballad, but I must have played that, I don't know, literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and it still hits me every single time. Because when you listen to the words of "gotta take a little time to think things over, gotta read between the lines, guess I'm needed when I'm older. In my life, there's been heartache and pain. I don't know if I can face this again through this lonely life. And I want to know what love is. And I want you to show me." I think that speaks to us all in so many different ways. However that pain is, however that heartache is, whether we've broke a fingernail and that's caused us heartache, or whether we've broke a leg and that's caused us physical pain, whatever the connotation is, there's no judgment on that. But that solution, the only solution, and this is just my humble experience, listeners, of love is the answer. So yeah, I can listen to that, and I can be in whatever kind of energy or phase I'm in, but it'll reach me, and it'll reach me profoundly, because it'll remind me of that all-powerful, energetic thing called love.
Yeah, that life force energy, and that real, indescribable thing that we all know, and it comes in so many different forms, doesn't it? Like I think but really there's just energy of love.
Yeah.
And everyone can connect with that.
And I mean, we had a situation recently, a few days ago, didn't we, where, you know, the name of Frank Sinatra was mentioned, you recall. And there was a group gathering, and this was a few days ago. Rebecca was in the presence, and there was a gentleman in our company, and he was talking about two sons, and, you know, his sons are growing up, etc., etc. And, you know, as the vast majority of parents do, kind of not worries, but, you know, he's always got that watchful eye on his children, and that sparked within me, and as you'll attest, Rebecca, I broke out into song. Now, this is a guy that we just met, or I just met anyway. I think it's fair to say you'd probably just met him as well. Can you remember? This was Tuesday when we was down at certain place from the church.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll carry on with it because I can see a quizzical look on Rebecca's face.
No, I remember now. Yeah.
Yeah. So what it was, listeners, and this guy was sort of saying, look, you know, I've just been introduced, and you've got two young boys, and, you know, and I said, yeah, okay, I understand that as a parent myself, and it invoked a song in me from Frank Sinatra, and the lines were something along these lines: when you're the father of boys, how you worry. When you're the father of girls, you do more than that, you pray. From the time of Huckle and Finn till the time she cries, don't come in, you worry night and day. Just one, I mean, maybe it's me, listeners, you know, I don't know, but I can be in the company of people and I just really embraced in a beautiful conversation or a conversation, and it automatically conjures up a line from a song, an emotion, a thought, and it's just beautiful because attached to that is frequency and vibration. You know, am I a good singer? I don't know. I really don't care. That's not the issue. But it's what it does to me as an individual. And this is not about me. So this is not the Paul show. This is about communicating a message to say how powerful music or any art form. For me, it's music. I mean, I know in your world, Rebecca, art is massive, and colours and patterns are monumental. Which one's right? Which one's wrong? Neither and both. They are what they are.
Yeah. They're expressions of I guess love, and in many ways, or emotion at least. I mean, you know, they're exploring different things. You know, when someone's writing a love song, I think that what makes that song resonate with people is the intention of expressing their truth. That, you know, they're expressing their feelings and their truth and what they've experiencing, and that manifesting as a song is really just the song is kind of the tool, or the music's the kind of tool to connect with that energy. And yeah, as you say, it's the same for art, it's the same for whatever the creative outlet is. It's capturing that, you know, frequency and vibration, which we can all feel that. And yeah, very powerful how that can impact our, you know, state.
Is it true to say, though, that with music and singing and, you know, whatever, performing generally, but particularly with music and singing, there's a certain mask we need to protect? We don't want to sing because we're going to be judged as a good singer, bad singer, indifferent singer. There's that whole kind of thing about wearing a mask, isn't there? My take upon when we start to speak about frequency of energy, vibration of energy, drop that mask, because it reduces, and I speak from years and years and years of experience, it reduces massively our frequency, because we're protecting an ego, we're protecting an image, and it's holding us back. We're putting ourselves in a very constrained space energetically. But I suppose there's a certain courage that has to go with being prepared to drop that mask, because for the outside world to see you metaphorically naked and raw for who you really are, not who you think you are. I don't know if I want that. So it does take courage, or does it?
I guess it does and it doesn't. I feel like when we really dive into what actually are we afraid of in doing that, it becomes suddenly apparent that there's nothing to be afraid of. There's the fear is an illusion there. It's completely irrational in many ways, yet doesn't matter how logical or how much we can understand that concept, there's still something within us, that deep I guess protection that is playing out, and so that's where the awareness comes into it. But at a certain point, yeah, you're right, it just takes courage, really. And I think that the more that can happen, maybe it's not a big leap, but maybe it's some small steps, or maybe you can explore that in your own way, and also there's many different factors, and I feel like it's a process, isn't it, with each person, that peeling back of the onion layer, and but at the same time, that courage is that leap of faith, isn't it?
So maybe, just maybe, Mom, if we sang, by the way, the royal we, if we sang just one sort of line from Bob Our Black Sheep, maybe that's a little stepping stone to actually being on the London Palladium, say in a year's time. Who knows? So
Who knows?
I'm game if you are. I'll count us down in 3.
Oh dear.
Okay. Any kind of concluding thoughts around this whole thing, Rebecca? Because I'd like to kind of at least talk through or even attempt to sing something from Peter Sarsted around where do you go to, my lovely? Because the words are deeply profound. His message is deeply profound. This was a one-hit wonder from 1969, and I'm amazed it's just been a one-hit wonder because, like I say, the words are just, it's all about dropping the mask. And that's what we've spoken about here, isn't it? Let's drop the mask if we dare. Because that then, all the fear and all the, we're held to ransom by ourselves. We might say the outside world expects this and expects that. There's no harder taskmaster than ourselves because of the mask we wear. Because we're fear of being judged. We're fear of not being loved. We're fear of not being good enough. What if we dropped all that and just stepped out into our truth and said, you know what, world, here I am in all my majesticness. You're going to judge me. That's fine. I don't care because I know who I am. I'm raw to the world, but this is me.
Yeah. And something you've said before that is, I think, really powerful is that people are going to judge you anyway. They're going to judge you whatever you do anyway. So you may as well just be your true, authentic self.
Yeah. And your inner critic, your own inner critic is going to judge you. Your ego is going to judge you. And I feel and know that the more we can actually kiss the sun and touch the moon and flirt and drop the mask, I flirt with life and drop the mask, it's like I'm in touch with who I really am now, because at my truest, purest form, I am love. I am consciousness. I'm energy. That's it. The rest is this kind of human conditioning that says, I am male, you are female, you are this, I am that, There's an expectation that big boys don't cry and nice girls don't do things like that, and all this stuff that we're, indoctrinated with from childhood. Maybe if we drop the mask, that vibration would raise significantly. And from my experience, there's even a parallel word called happiness that goes along with that. Contentment. I think peace is actually the word I'm looking for. Because the reality is, world, in the most beautiful way, the most respectful way, what we're really saying is, I really don't care how you're going to judge me, because I'm okay with me, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Mom, before the immortal words from Peter Sarsted come into play?
No, just looking forward to hearing the immortal words.
Would you like to join me?
I'm very sadly don't know the words, so
I'm sure you can Google them. I mean, apparently Google's got the answer to everything these days.
I'll let you take the floor on this one. Maybe I will do that at some point.
All right, okay. So, you talk like Marlene Dietrich, and you dance like Zizi Jamel. Your clothes are all made by Bellman, and there's diamonds and pearls in your hair. Yes, there are. You live in a fancy apartment off the boulevard Saint Michel, where you keep your Rolling Stone records and a friend of Sacha Distel. Yes, you do. But where do you go to, my lovely, when you're alone in your bed? Tell me the thoughts that surround you. I want to look inside your head. Yes, I do. I've seen all your qualifications you got from the Sorbonne, and the painting you stole from Picasso. Your loveliness goes on and on, yes it does. When you go on your summer vacation, you go to Juan Lapin with your carefully designed topless swimsuit. You get an even suntan on your back and on your legs. And when the snow falls, you're found in St. with the others of the jet set. And you sip your Napoleon brandy, but you never get your lips wet. No, you don't. But where do you go to, my lovely, when you're alone in your bed? Won't you tell me the thoughts that surround you? I want to look inside your head, yes I do. Your name it is heard in high places, you know, the Aga Khan. And he sent you a racehorse for Christmas, and you keep it just for fun, for a laugh, ha ha ha. And they say that when you get married, it'll be to a millionaire. But they don't realize where you came from, and I wonder if they really care or give a damn. No, they don't. But where do you go to, my lovely, when you're alone in your bed? Tell me the thoughts that surround you. I want to look inside your head, yes I do. I remember the back streets of Naples, two children begging in rags, both touched with a burning ambition to shake off their lonely born tags, though we tried. So look into my face, Marie Claire, and remember just who you are. Then go and forget me forever, but I know you still bear the scar deep inside, yes you do. I know where you go to, my lovely, when you're alone in your bed. I know the thoughts that surround you, 'cause I can look inside your head.
Woo!
And what that speaks to, listeners, is the mask. Two children begging in the back streets of Naples growing up, and one facing his truth of, hey, listen, these things happen, and the other one in denial of, no, I'll wear all this fancy jewellery, I'll get these big social connections, I'll be a socialite, it'll paper over the cracks. And that's fine to the outside world. We can do that, we can paper over the cracks. But when we go to our bed at night and there's just us and our own thoughts, and we could even be lying outside our partner in bed, but he or she's not inside our head, and those thoughts are not going to leave us. until we drop that mask and be vulnerable, and that self-acceptance, and raise that vibration. Very poignant note, I think, to kind of end on. Rebecca, it's over to you for any kind of concluding thoughts, any remarks, anything at all really about this musical insight into what seemingly wasn't a connection between Einstein and music. Any thoughts at all?
Well, firstly, thank you for sharing that song. And yeah, I think it's very powerful words, and very, very relevant for all of us to listen to that and to really understand that, and be aware of how that plays out in our life, and what it comes down to, as the song says, is what do you feel when you're alone, and how much freedom, because I think it comes down to freedom. How much freedom have you got? How much peace have you got with yourself? So yeah, really, for me, it's shown the power of music, and how we can really relate to people's words, and actually not just the expression of music, but actually each expressing and having that vulnerability and that courage to express, music in whatever form. Something lots to think about, I think, from that. Definitely.
I feel that that's kind of reached you quite poignantly. I've noticed that that's really, no pun intended. Actually, yes, every pun intended. Struck a chord with you somewhere.
Struck a chord, yeah.
Yeah. And on that musical note, listeners, on the next episode, I think that we'll turn the tables, Rebecca, if that suits, if you're okay with that. And I'm going to ask you to share your thoughts, your music, what reaches you, what raises you, what affects your energy musically. And so, we'll do a kind of metaphoric duet on the back of that afterwards to say, look, we've got two very, very diverse musical scenarios here. Maybe then we bring the two together. Maybe there's a sweet spot musically in the middle. And that's just two people. That's our dance. Listeners, you've got your own dance going off in your world. So hopefully this has been useful. And we'll see what happens on the next one. And until then, I sign off by saying, remember, the tune is changing. How will you play?
Thanks very much for listening to this World Game Changers podcast episode. Hopefully you found it interesting and helpful. Drop a line to Paul at worldgamechangers.org with any thoughts or questions you may have, and he'll be more than happy to respond. Remember, the world's changing. How will you respond?